So, the presentation I will be giving is called Making Nutrition Aspirational and Desirable. I also gave this presentation at the Micronutrient Forum in Mexico in October of this year. The main point of the presentation is the importance of consumer-centered design of behavior change communication interventions. If we go to slide 2, I'd like to mention that the nutrition community, us, generally starts addressing problems of malnutrition and then identifying a solution, which can be a product of food, that will close the nutrient gaps. We focus on addressing the constraints, the barriers, and we try to find solutions in terms of quality, availability, or proper use of those foods. But even if we do all of that, then a mother may not change her behavior. And why is that? After all, we addressed all her needs. That's true, but have we also addressed her wants? A mother herself also would like to be seen as a good or even a great mother by her neighbors, by her mother-in-law, by her husband. She has a need for convenience because her time is limited. She definitely wants her child to be happy and eating the foods that she's giving quietly and happily and not crying. So how do we do this? What do consumers really want? Going to slide 3, you will see a complicated model that identifies a number of factors that are influences the food choices of consumers. Now, we can categorize them in 3. There are the individual factors that have to do with the mother. There are the societal factors that have to do with her environment and specifically the people living around her, the social norms. And there are the food-related factors that is related to, well, what choice and what are the products that are out there. If we're going to slide 4, I am highlighting the ones that have received already a lot of attention in, if I may call it, more conventional behavior change interventions. For instance, knowledge and awareness about the problems and about the solutions. The different attitudes and beliefs are always studied in formative research. Social support of the people around the mother is being taken into account more and more. But those are the ones that are specifically linked to the needs, again, of the consumer. If we're going to slide 5, there we see the factors that have more to do maybe with the needs. And those are especially the ones that we sometimes forget in the design of a behavior change intervention. Those are the ones that have to do with her emotions, with taste and sensory stuff, the perceived quality, the packaging. Good, we're getting to the examples. Slide 6. This is about taste and sensory experience. Taste is really a fundamental product characteristic. And if a product doesn't taste good, a person will not try it again. Commercial food producers will often offer several flavors to expand the choice of the consumer. But in public sector, where the products that we're giving in product sector, we don't do that, which is a pity because we may lose on consumer acceptance of a product, and they may not want to use it for a longer time period because it's actually quite boring to eat foods every day the same thing. So the suppliers of fortified foods or of supplements can take this into account. And one of the pictures on this slide shows Nutribon, a product in Ivory Coast that actually has put in the market 4 flavors, 2 savory and 2 sweet flavors. This is a local entrepreneur. This is not a premium priced product, but it definitely looks like that. Going to slide 7, I'd like to talk to you a bit more about packaging and the importance of packaging and branding. Packaging is the first way to communicate with the consumer. That's what they see in the kiosk or at the market. So that will convince the consumer whether it believes that there is some quality in there. It's the first source of information that they will take home. So the information that's written on pack also needs to be very inspiring to them. The examples on this slide are from packaging of micronutrient powders in Vietnam, the Bibomix one, and Desta in Ethiopia. Through our experience, GAIN has been able to identify a number of key points that need to be addressed in the design of new packaging. We've recently applied that in Indonesia, and we did a comparative consumer acceptance study which showed that the new packaging was much more acceptable, much better understood, and actually led to a higher uptake. So now the Indonesian Ministry of Health has decided to adopt the new packaging across the entire country. Slide number 8 is about emotions and emotional messaging versus educational messaging. There's an incredibly strong lesson to learn from private sector. The difference is always striking. Here you can see a good examples specifically at the right bottom image, which is from the Alive and Thrive campaign. So this is public sector, one of the best examples we know, where two very cute babies are talking to each other about breastfeeding. It focused on one single message: do not give water while breastfeeding. And the uptake, the understanding, and the impact of this message was very high. The incredibly high cute factor is cutting across all cultures. On slide 9, you see an example from Indonesia where Gain works with the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. We have applied a number of behavioral principles in the design of this campaign. The campaign has been built around an emotional ID, which is called healthy gossip or rumpi sehat. There's a lot of judgment going on in the social environment in Indonesia, and they love engaging in gossip. We use real life situations in the TV commercials, real life key characters, a good sense of humor, and we try to avoid public health jargon as much as possible. So there's a number of repetitive, recognizable elements, such as the gesture of pushing away the bad behavior, as you can see with the infant feeding bottle, or the revelation moment where this gossip lady suddenly understands that she was always talking about the wrong behavior, and that is the head slap. We also use visual cues more than speech because it's stronger, it sticks in the mind, and we try to present the good behavior as the one that everybody knows about, except the gossip lady, so that we reinforce the social norms. We're talking here about one of the tools that have been developed also for this Indonesia campaign, and we call them emo demos. That means emotional demonstrations. These are interactive group activities done at a community level or at a health center, which include funny games that focus on one key behavior, attracting attention of everybody, sometimes having a surprise element or even causing some shock. Throughout the game or the demonstration, we want to demonstrate one particular nutrition concept, and that needs to lead to the re-evaluation of existing behavior and then the adoption and having the confidence to adopt a new behavior. So an example are the 4 glasses on the picture. They are actually addressing the omnipresent snacking behavior of high-fat, nutrient-low puffed snacks in Indonesia. We dilute them in a glass of water. We then pass that from mother to mother and tell them, this is what you give your kids. Please taste, try it. But it really doesn't look good. It doesn't smell necessarily very good, and mothers are quickly disgusted. So this is what they give their children. They're a bit shocked, and they're also a bit disgusted by the fact, the way the snacks look, and they don't want to taste it. And that then leads to the discussion on the snacking behavior. So why do they give this? There's another game behind it that shows how they fill the stomach of a child with snacks, and then we just ask them to do a game with a plastic bucket and throwing plastic balls in it. And the mother that has filled the bucket the first actually didn't win because she has filled the stomach of her child with these snacks, and that was the bad behavior. So we're coming to slide 11 about reminders and rewards. It's important that we are cognizant of the fact that a message giving at a health center or in a community may be forgotten when the mother comes at home, or she may not think about it all the time when she is preparing food for her child. So we need to help her to remember what was said. We also need to encourage her to practice that on a day-to-day basis. So we have 2 examples. On the left you see a hand fan, or at least the upper part of a hand fan to cool off the face, which is handed out in Indonesia, and where we are giving stickers that can be put on the hand fan for each session that the mother has attended and that has discussed one specific nutrition behavior. So that she will take home, her child will play with it, and that will help her to remember what was said at the session. At the left you see a bowl that is actually handed out as a reward for mothers that have finished a course of micronutrient powders in 6 months, where they have really given 60 sachets of MNPs to their child. That is a number needed to have a nutrition impact. And so this is a way to encourage mothers to really get to that continuous provision of micronutrients. The last slide, actually, the end of this session, is to conclude that we really need to think about a consumer. When we want to make nutrition desirable to mothers, to fathers, to consumers, we need to address their wants. We should think about their short-term, day-to-day wants, and not only about the very important longer-term nutrition benefits, because that is what are their needs. We need them to practice the behaviors on a day-to-day basis and make the right decisions for that. So this is all that I wanted to share with you. There's so much more to say about it, but I can't do that in the 10 minutes that have been given to me. So I wish you a really nice bootcamp.